what's happening here. You're walking up to a door and you're knocking on it. You're calling someone in your sphere. You're handing out your card at Chipotle. Whatever you're doing, you're prospecting. You are setting yourself up for rejection. It's very, very uncomfortable. But it's also what you absolutely need to do, right? If you're staying in your comfort zone, no matter what you do, you're not going to get any better. My youngest daughter, I've got 3 kids, and my youngest daughter's 8, and she had a really tough field hockey workout the other day. And the next morning she woke up and she was so sore. And she asked me why that is. Why does everything hurt, Papa? And I said, oh, well, that's because your muscles actually break down when you work out. They get little tiny tears in them, and your body repairs itself, especially when you're young. And you get stronger every day. She was like, that sounds awful. I'm literally ripping myself when I do this. Like, why would I? I was like, well, yes. But, there's some good that comes of it. She doesn't believe me yet. We'll see when she's not sore anymore. But that's how you grow, right? Growth feels good in retrospect, not in the moment. You need to be prospecting. For instance, here's a terrifying prospect because you thought you were just here to listen. What if, I won't actually require you to do this, what if you turn to the person beside you that you did not come with and ask them for a referral? Like, imagine that. Like, be so direct. Well, you're here. You're probably a real estate agent, right? Like, the seal's been broken. Right? You could do that. You could say, hey, here's who I am. Right after I speak, for instance, if I get off a couple minutes early, there's no clock here, so odds of that are pretty low. But let's see if that happens. Then you can turn to them and have a little conversation and see if perhaps you can make a connection. Maybe you can get a referral. If that sounds terrifying to you, then you probably need some coaching. You probably need some challenging. And I suggest you just literally go door knocking. Or you just pick up the phone and start calling your sphere. Just check in with people and see how they're doing. Now, for a lot of people, they actually time block this, and they do it every single day. They have just, like, I don't know what they have. Maybe abs of steel. They have, cold as ice blood. It doesn't bother them. Or maybe they just really want to be successful, right? And some of us, we want to be successful, but we don't have abs of steel. We're looking for 8-minute abs. Or maybe that thing that you apply that just shocks your abs. You can just sit there and watch TV. You've seen that on TV. That's kind of what we're looking for, but it doesn't really happen. The magical CRM that does all our work for us and just brings us leads. The Glenn Ross leads. Like, how many people are looking for them? That line doesn't always land because people are like, are you 80? What is that reference? But anyway, everyone's looking for the easy solution. There really isn't one, right? And ask anyone who's incredibly successful. If they're really, really super successful, they'll say, I don't know. It's all referral business for me. It's not by happenstance that it's a referral business. And it's not because they built a website, and it's not because they're just on Facebook all day long pinging their friends. They're probably actually picking up the phone. They're actually going to events. They're actually going to maybe cocktail parties, something at the club, whatever it is that gets them in the community, right? That's part of what we do. Community is a word that's in the NAR Code of Ethics a lot as well. It's a very, very important thing. So I suggest you think really hard about your prospecting strategy and whether or not you're actually following the things that you've always said that you would do. How many of us have decided we are forever going to do exactly X until the end of time, and we cannot remember if we've done X recently or not, right? If we all did all the things we always decided we'll do, we'd be amazing. Pick fewer things. Just be focused. Just pick one thing. Pick one thing from this presentation that you're actually going to do. Just one. Like, seriously, just one. Like, forget everything else. Maybe you laughed, you cried, you remembered something from our presentation, but just pick one thing and actually do it and see what difference that makes. It will make an actual difference, and I think prospecting is one of those extremely important things to do. Having your why, having clarity, coming up with a plan, those are things that most people think a little bit about, right? Especially when you newly got your license. You were pretty sure that you'd think a ton about this. That you'd have a plan, that you'd spend December developing your plan for the next year, every single year. You'd time block, you'd send out holiday cards, you'd reach out to your sphere, right? You read the little pamphlet that you were given. You're like, I'm going to do all those things. Those things seem easy. That doesn't seem very hard. And life got in the way. Maybe you got busy. You got busy with your work and life got in the way. So it's pretty easy for life to get in the way of these things too. So most people set a goal at the beginning of the year. For instance, I want to do better than I did this year, right? That's a goal. It's not a very precise goal. It's kind of lame, really. But it's a goal. It's something. And then you make a plan. I'm going to work harder. Even more lame, right? That's pretty much terrible. But let's say you actually make a plan and say, I'm going to do some of the things I've always said I was going to do. And then you get to work. You actually start working on your business. That's about where most people stop. It's the stick to it part that comes somewhere around January 2nd, right? Where it gets really, really tough, Everyone who owns a gym knows that you have, you can't find a machine in January. But come May, it's a bowling alley. It's wide open at that gym, right? So it's the exact same thing for our business, but not for a lot of the most successful people. A lot of the most successful people, though, seem to be the ones who are always taking the notes. And they're always going to all these different meetings, and they're working with their broker on their plan. They're being challenged. They have an accountability partner. They have a coach. The people who seem to least need all these things are constantly doing it. In large part because it's the rare bird that can actually do the same thing over and over and over, year after year after year. How you choose to be successful does change and morph and shift over time, right? The kind of prospecting you were comfortable with last year, maybe you got burned out. That's okay. It's okay to be burned out. It's okay to just be done with door knocking, be done with calling your sphere and try something new. You've got to be energized. You've got to be all about it. But that does mean you have to have a very clear plan. You have to pursue that plan pretty aggressively and remind yourself of that pretty constantly. I used to be, again, long gone far away, this is 20 years ago, I used to be a very high mileage distance runner. Now my office is on the 3rd floor and I take the stairs, and that is the totality of my exercise all year. But I used to run a ton. And when I did, people asked me, well, I want to run a marathon. How should I go about doing that? I said, I only have one piece of advice. Tell everyone you know that you're going to run a marathon. And then the peer pressure alone of people checking in on you all year long. Hey, it's coming up, isn't it? You're going to run Long Beach, aren't you? You're going to run New York, aren't you? Like, it's coming up. How's it going? How's the training? That will probably get you out there more often than not actually training. And if it doesn't, you're probably still going to show up on race day woefully unprepared and probably doing permanent damage to your body, but you will at least have tried. You will have actually run a marathon. So I do suggest when you do set a goal, pick an accountability partner, or at least tell your clients. Whoa, there's a concept. Tell your clients what you're hoping to do this year, right? You're hoping to stay in better touch with them. You're hoping to be more involved in the community. You're hoping to grow your business more than you have before. Imagine if your clients knew you were hoping to grow your business. How many of you have been told that you missed out on an opportunity because someone thought you were too busy? I didn't want to bother you. Just punch them right in the face when they say I didn't want to bother you, right? It's what all of us fear is going to happen. But if they know what you're trying to do, if they know what your goal is, if they know what you're hoping for yourself personally and for your business, then maybe they will help you. These people liked you enough to work with you, to drive around with you on their day off, not yours, drive around with you and look at houses or meet with you at their home, bring you into the most intimate space that they have. They cared enough about you to do that and then to pay you at the end, right? Then maybe they'll help you grow your business. Maybe there's someone with whom you can connect to try and grow and prospect when they better understand what you're looking to do. One reminder for all of us, I especially like this picture, I found it a long time ago, it's time on fire. You never get time back. Ryan Schneider is the new CEO of Realty, maybe not so new now, it's been almost 2 years, and he thinks about this constantly. He reminds me about this constantly. He obsesses about time machines. You'll never be able to go back. You'll never get that time back. Today is invested here and cannot be reinvested anywhere else. Can never be reallocated. And the most successful people in our industry, the most successful people in our lives in the world, they only get 24 hours a day. Isn't that kind of crazy? Like when you really think about it, right? Like these people who are doing things that don't seem humanly possible to you, they also only get 24 hours a day. There's lots of advantages that some people have over others, right? Maybe some people were born into wealth, maybe some people went to the right schools, whatever. That's not true for time. Everyone gets the exact same amount of time in a day, and many of us have roughly the same amount of time in our lives. You'll never, ever get it back. So I ask you, if you did all the things that I just talked about, maybe you're sitting there somewhat smugly saying, I actually do all these things. Matter of fact, you're wasting my time. I'm so productive. I should be doing 10 other things right now. My accountability partner told me to leave if I didn't like what you had to say. So fine, you did all that. You've got your plan. You have your why. You have your clarity. You have your goals. You have your plan. Now, just pull up your calendar and look at last week. How much did what you actually did last week match up with your plan, your priorities, your goal? Like, seriously, audit yourself. Actually go back and look and see how that lined up. I do this all the time. I start my day with the 10 things that I'm definitely going to do today, and by the time I'm at 1:30, I'm like, man, it's 1 a.m. I should probably go to bed at some point, right? Because I did not allocate my time properly. I did not time block. Or if I did, I didn't protect that time block. I let something else encroach that. Time blocking